What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am BDLM, coming with my buddy J4Y, bringing you this Dota On Demand Podcast. Season's greetings. I don't know what number. I really don't.
46.
46. Keeping the streak alive, almost. What's going on, man?
It technically was never fully broken. You know, we said it would be a hiatus, and this is a nice Christmas special. That's how we're putting it. You know, nothing official like, oh, we're back every week. This is just a nice, what's going on, everyone? You know, we've gotten a lot of people giving us feedback saying they missed us, you know, wondering where we've been. You know, they're out in the cold and the rain under a light lamppost? Light lamp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under bright light.
Yes. Just all sad, so.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's great, too, because we always kind of insinuated that we were friends, but this is actually the only time that I've ever talked to you. So it had been a while, right? Because
True.
Whenever the last Magnus episode was, that was months, right? So I don't even know what you've been doing with your life. So yeah, we got kind of a lot of stuff to cover. We're gonna skim some stuff and kind of just talk about the current Dota meta game, which is actually, I think, really awesome right now. I'm actually really enjoying it. But how have you been? Just like the Dota in general of late.
Unfortunately, it hasn't been too much for me. I've been more recently really trying to get back into it. It was like after we stopped that episode of 45, and like that's also when our casting, we stopped doing that too. And like I just kind of fell out of the scene for like a month, and then I kind of pulled me back in a little bit. He helped. He wanted me to help him cast some collegiate. Oh my God, is that how you say it? Yeah, college level tournaments that were like between the United States. They're like all these different colleges, and they were playing in some big tournament or whatever. It was pretty cool. But I was like, oh okay. And then like I was doing the cast with them, and I'm like, oh God, I do not remember half these words or names or anything, but it was still a lot of fun, and now I'm really anxious to get playing with our friends again, you know, including you, of course. But how about you? How's your Dota experiences been of late?
It's been fantastic. With playing and watching. I've been like buying tickets left and right to tournaments just to get to watch them all, because they're so fantastic. And like I said, I've really just been enjoying the way that Dota has fairly recently been. Because really, I mean, it's been through a lot of changes, and that's something that we didn't really get a chance to talk about, because a lot of it's been in the time that we've been off, and just going from 6.75 to now 6.77. Things have really changed pretty dramatically, I'd say. And going from what we got in 6.75, which really, in my opinion, you had so many heroes buffed into being competitive, and then you had the number of bans reduced. That really you just sort of got into this really tight game where it was all about Sven and Magnus. You either had to ban them or you had to pick them. And you had, I think especially the bans, like you really didn't see like the Bat Rider, like the Bounty Hunter a ton. You know, Undying and Jakiro still really popular bans and first picks as well. I mean, a lot of those heroes just got so strong, and you really were almost sort of forced to have to deal with this Sven because he's good, but there were ways to deal with them, and I think that's where you really start seeing him fall off. It's like teams started to sort of find these little ways to try and get around them.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely caused teams to have to really come up with new strategies, and I just love seeing the adaptations of it and seeing how their interpretation of how they're going to go against that kind of pickup. And it really does seem like almost flavor of the month for each month this year. It's just been like, okay, this month we're going to go all Magnus hardcore. This month, oh, Sven, yeah, he's strong as hell. Let's use him. And then more recently, it just seems like they kind of like just keep rotating new heroes into that, fill that void. And I know you're excited to talk about some of those new heroes. One that I especially don't know much about.
Yeah, that Nyx assassin. But yeah, he's actually been really nice. But I gotta say, and definitely the way that the patches have been going, it's kind of like 6.75 was weird, because it almost seemed like, and I even noticed some other people like the casting. It's almost like Ice Frog was like, I want these heroes to be used all of a sudden. Like Sven just steadily getting buffed over time, then really got a lot in 6.75 if I remember correctly. Magnus too got some big buffs, and the last two, it seems like it's been very small adjustments to bring them down, like Bounty Hunter no longer reducing armor on his ultimate. Like Warcry got nerfed a decent amount, and the cleave percentage damage output got reduced. So a lot of like little stuff now, so it's not as like big swing as we had before. And I think too the really neat thing that's sort of happened because of the way that's all been changing is it seems like you have a lot of heroes who wound up coming up, like Nyx, for instance, the Life Stealer. The Luna Gyrocopter got brought in all of a sudden just because he was a ranged carry that could do as much damage as Sven could. And now those heroes that Sven and Magnus, they're still present, but they're not all there really is to deal with anymore. They still get to stick around. It seems like Dota's a lot more dynamic now because there are so many heroes that you go from team to team, really, and you even see differences in who they like to focus playing with, who they ban against, you know?
Yeah, like you said, it's really cool to see all those heroes that have kind of been just not even looked at more recently have been all of a sudden just now. The teams are just not afraid. They're not afraid to go with heroes that are unconventional. You know, they still more or less Itar's done a great job balancing out a lot of these heroes that needed those little tweaks. You know, some of them still do fall short of the mark. You know, you're not going to see Husker come out. Lycan's still kind of nerfed to the ground, quote unquote. I mean, there's still going to be heroes that aren't going to be super popular, but you know, that's just the case of the hero, and like, they can't overbuff at the same time because then, you know, you don't want a broken hero, so it's kind of hard to find too many balance changes for some of them. But you know, it's nice to see the differences of like, let's say the international. How many times was Morphling picked up? A bajillion. Where has he been? What happened to that poor watery sap? You know, he like that. He was in for like he was left in the ocean or something. I don't know, some bad joke there, but
left in Seattle.
Oh, sleepless in Seattle. Well, actually, that makes no sense at all. But yeah, I mean, I do like, and it's funny, you were mentioning Gyrocopter getting picked up in this against heroes like Sven and stuff. It's like, okay, you've got a cleave, I've got a cleave, and mine can do just as much damage, if not more. So, yeah, I really do love to see those kind of heroes get picked up in the game. It's really exciting to see how they perform.
Yeah, and it's great too, I think, like, any of you guys who are like looking for tournaments to watch or looking for great teams to watch, I've been paying attention because I wouldn't consider myself a Na'Vi fanboy. I like to follow them because I like all of their players as people, and not only just how well they can play. But I've really been following like the Na'Vi versus Empire is fantastic. You look at the Star Ladder finals, was really nice. But and just looking at the way Puppy bans now, he either bans Wisp or first picks him every game I've seen of late. And it's funny because it's not necessarily true of all teams where they care. And you know, watching games from the Asia and now some of this G League stuff, like Wisp isn't even bothered with at all. But it's really kind of neat to see how there's now sort of too, because we're getting so many new heroes into the pool. It's just so varied across the board, and there really isn't sort of one set way to go.
No, and I mean, there's always been those differences between the European and the Asian scene. And it seems as of late, I don't know if it's like a wintry thing or something, but maybe it's warmer over there in Asia, God knows. But they seem to be a lot more of those kind of tournaments going on, though, the Asian ones. They're really popular right now. There's a ton of them happening all at once, more or less. And it's really cool and exciting because I think it's been said that for the most part, some of these Asian teams really are aggressive, love to gank, love to have the constant fighting and action. Maybe that is affecting Pinoy more than other ones, but the point is, there still seems, and then of course there is the China. We're going to kind of exclude them because they've always been the sit back and bore you to death, and then you just quit because you're so damn bored. But you know,
Joey Beastmaster. That's all I'm going to say. It's good stuff. Gotta watch the LGD China
Beastmaster.
Still mid Beastmaster, my friend.
Oh, they're bringing it back?
Bringing it back.
Oh, man, that's wonderful.
See, that's the thing. It's not... I know, it's not that you haven't been watching a lot of Dota, it's just that I've been watching way too much.
Exactly.
And so... But that's okay, because I get to... You know, I get to be the fact man for a change.
Exactly, we switched up roles here.
It's really great. But, okay, I know you really want to talk about Next Assassin.
I do.
Because he is... Tier 1, absolutely, Tier 1 support hero. And I guess you just don't get it, right?
Not at all, and I would love the explanation. I'm sure some of our viewers would as well.
I've started to mess with it. He's definitely, I would say, the tri-lane support. And really, it does, I think, a little bit go back to when we first saw him in the competitive scene, or at least the first time I saw him in the competitive scene. You look at the International 2, and when Puppy picked him and wound up playing him in a tri-lane against the Keeper of the Light, and you saw him several times, you go ahead and you pop the Spike Carapace when you see the Illuminate come in. It's a really great reactive spell. And Nyx is really a hero that for a long time now, he just has sort of been incrementally been getting buffed and changed. Before, you know, it was Nyx. Okay, well, he has to be mid because you need the levels. He also needs to get the farm because mana drain gets expensive. Well, now burn mana, it gets cheaper as you level it up. So it's actually, you know, more convenient to use early on. Or wait, no, I'm stupid, right? But wait,
what?
Brain meltdown. Numbers.
Hey, fact, man, you can't handle the pressure.
To the internet, yeah. Okay. Oh, it gets cheaper as you level it up. Yes.
Yes.
So it gets better as you get into the game. You don't need items to support it. Whereas the other way, before, it was cheap, got more expensive. Now the Spike Carapace, it's not that it reflects one spell, it's up to 5 from 5 different sources in a small window of time. And the other great thing, too, when you saw Nyx come in, is a lot of teams, because they were just not used to seeing him and playing against him, they would just auto-attack through the Carapace and get themselves stunned for 2 seconds. Now they have to sit and wait and try and run with you and hope that nothing happens in the second 2 seconds that you have it up. 2.75 that you have it up. They just have to wait you out and hope that it doesn't get turned around on them. And then of course Vendetta's just nice because you get all that extra movement speed. He's also really bursty support, and you look at how Lena's been picked up a lot lately. Lion's shown up a hand couple twice.
Never heard that term before, but that's pretty unique.
Puppy. But you know, I think he is just a really great hero, especially now, saying that he's not item dependent. He has a Lion stun that can hit multiple people. And if you're going to be wasting Sentry Wards and Gems of True Sight to try and counter out the Nyx, I mean, then he's certainly done his job as support in helping to not only provide support to your team, but then burning money off the supports on the other side of the board.
Yeah, that's always a factor. Exactly. If you have to get an item to be a nuisance or to kind of counter a support on the other team, yeah, that's when you're really you're doing well. And it's actually, I feel like that should apply the same to like Disruptor, where people used to have to get 4 staffs to get out of his thing, but I guess now that doesn't even matter. But Disruptor, of course, it's a whole different story. He's not even like, he's a poor guy. I haven't seen him around in a long time. But as far, I was wondering if Spike Carapace, like now that the way it's been changed, if how the meta kind of worked with Sven, at least when it was Sven Mag, if he was starting to get picked up on the cusp of that, because obviously Spike Carapace is really good and easy to use against heroes that have a spell that's kind of slow traveling or easy to see coming, and therefore you can kind of reverse the damage and stun them back. Like, I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, there are really a lot of heroes that works really well against. Luna is just going to cleave through towards the late game, so you just pop Spike Carapace, and if you need to try and get a cheap stun that way, you can. And really, I think it's just too that it's a support that's survivable. You're not necessarily going to blow up. You really can do what you always wanted to do as a Nyx Assassin, where you're, let's say, in the middle of the enemy team, invisible, and then you go, all right, go, Vendetta attack, impale, and then you pray to God you survive. Well, now, if everybody turns their sights on you, hit Spike Carapace, and you can potentially stun them all and get away just fine. And so I think really it's a lot of those changes all of a sudden. And really, I mean, he sat with those changes for a while. It's not like he got them and then the next day everybody's Nyx Assassin, let's do it. It really was, oh yeah, Nyx Assassin. He actually works really well in the tri-lanes. And two, when you look at how, again, I think a kind of staple of the current metagame is a lot of teams are just not even sending heroes to the hard lane. It really opens up a lot of space. You don't have to babysit in the tri-lane anymore. You can pull creeps. You can pull to 2 or 3 different camps, train the creeps around, and you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm getting too far from my lane, oh, I need to make sure that, I'm keeping tabs on this. You can actually sit in the jungle and get the experience that a hero like Nyx Assassin needs, and it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely can do that well. And it goes back to, and you're saying like, oh, the changes happened, and obviously then people didn't just pick it up; they kind of learned about it. I think that kind of applies to a lot of scenarios. I mean, looking at Undying, for example, he didn't really get tampered with a whole lot. I mean, he got a couple small buffs here and there, but then like people just started like one day were like, you know what? I feel like he could be strong in this combination, and then like all of a sudden, every team now values him as a strong tri-laner. Like it kind of happens overnight. Like they'll see someone will give it that try, that testing, and then if it works, then maybe other people will catch on to it. If not, then put it back on the back burner and maybe give it a go again in a month or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if I was gonna say, what were the three biggest heroes right now? It's Rider, Undying, and Nyx Assassin probably. And I mean, you can see most of those heroes, they get banned out or picked up almost immediately. And I mean, like Undying, it was I was watching Toby stream yesterday, and it was Draskell, who happened to mention the great thing about Undying is he doesn't have a weakness per se. He can he can adjust really well. He can get farm and then be really powerful in the mid game. He can not get farm and just use the tombstone. He can be a support and really just the decay, helping to do that AoE damage to reduce strength in an AoE to give himself some extra damage and tank ability. Really, there isn't a scenario where he particularly suffers, and that's just part of his strength and why he's still so popular.
I was watching the G League today, and LD mentioned that he thought he was also a good hero, but he said that late game he seemed to really fall off as a hero. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean that's probably true, but but again, you're thinking of him as a support, and really in most situations he's a support these days, and there are a few heroes that don't fall off, and I mean, going back to the Nyx Assassin, that's another great reason why you might want to mess with them, because the int multiplier is ×5, so as the other team gets stronger, you're doing more damage as well. And so, I think he's just so strong in that early and mid part of the game that it's not a big deal that he falls off, and even in the later part of the game, he's providing some damage amplification, so, he's still viable.
Exactly. Like late game supports, if they don't have some kind of hard CC, then they really have to be kind of durable in order to do much in a team fight, because otherwise you're just going to get blown up and not even have done much at all. So I definitely think he is a strong hero, and all these talks really do make me want to see how this meta is evolving. Just for example, the last game I just watched, I believe it was a Phantom Lancer used as a hard carry by DK's Burning, and just seeing him just do a crap ton of damage, just in instant bursts. If he just spawned 4 or 5 of these illusions, in no time the hero would get burned down. So I really, it's just fascinating to see these heroes picked up and tried by the best of the best.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about Phantom Lancer again, because I was following Navi around for a little while. Puppy actually took a Phantom Lancer. They went into a lane with a Sven, and I forget who the support was. Farmed up on the Phantom Lancer, got level 5, and then went into the jungle. Didn't put any points into Doppelwalk. Got Spirit Lance and Juxtapose. And level 5 went into the jungle.
What?
And then just harassed.
Did that work?
Yep.
Wow.
Puppy got so tanky. He was against a Chaos Knight. The Chaos Knight just couldn't bring him down. It was a Wisp. Chaos Knight ganked him, and he lived and almost killed the both of them.
Oh, God.
It's great. But yeah, and again, too, you look at the other carries that sort of had come into the game, I want to say in response to the Sven, Nyx particularly. Luna, of course, has been big for a little while now. Lone Druid has always been prevalent, but all these heroes are really great with dealing with the Sven, and now they really are sort of the main carries of the moment, the flavors of the month, and it's really cool seeing Nyx. It's really the life stealer. Getting the increase on the rage duration by 1 second really helped make him a lot more viable. But of course that also brings heroes like Shadow Demon, who's particularly good against him, because you can just disrupt whoever he tries to focus while he's raged out. Brings heroes like them back to the forefront again. And it's just great. It really is the sort of revolving door of, oh, we have this hero again. Yeah, we got to use these people. And it's been great to watch. I've been loving it, man.
Exactly. They haven't even added too many heroes. We'll get into that in a bit, but the ones we've missed. But yeah, it's not necessarily that, oh, now that this hero is in the pool, we're going to have to change our strategy. It's just more like, hey, I mean, there have been buffs, and that does definitely impact. Like when Bat Rider got that huge list of buffs, okay, he definitely got picked up again, and I think that was a telltale telltale sign of that. But that's not necessarily the case for all these heroes. It really is just giving them a chance and seeing what they would be effective against, and just using them to their hopefully full potential. And there's definitely some heroes that I'm feeling like are still missing out. I'm just sad because was Silencer, after he was reworked, ever used for like at least a brief period, or has
he's still on Captain's mode?
Oh, really?
He was taking OCM, yeah.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. I was going to say, I haven't seen him picked at all, even though he's been reworked. So I guess he's just been reworked to the point where they just don't think he's balanced enough to be in that kind of setting. I mean, that's kind of unfortunate.
Well, yeah, and he got such a big change too. Because he had been sort of messed with a lot over the last couple patches. The ultimate duration got increased. The cooldown was reduced, I believe. So they've been trying to buff him, and then of course you get the new last word, or last word. Yeah, Global Silence is the name of the ultimate. Last word. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, you get basically a completely different ability, and then you wind up moving the int steal thing on the Glaive of Wisdom. So, I think it's just a thing of waiting it out and seeing how he winds up working in the public scene before you bring him into the captain's mode.
Yeah, I guess they'll give that enough testing time if they feel he's in the right place before they really get him out there. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, of course, especially there's just tournaments always going on, and, you want to make sure that, nothing is too broken or has to be banned. And now, especially with the way it's been with 2 bans on each side, it's not like you have that luxury ban anymore, so you really have to make sure that the 4 heroes are going to be, something that isn't broken, so you just have to ban it right away with one of the 4.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you a curveball because I feel like it. You ready?
Sure.
Got the gears lubed up, ready to go. All right.
Hopefully.
That was
a really weird way to say it.
Yeah. Anyway, so there were a couple people who have sort of shown up here and there who got buffed in 7-7. Actually, in the finals for the Asia.
Oh God.
MUFC versus LGT. Game 1, Necrolyte was used. He was also used another time earlier in the tournament. I don't remember by which team. My apologies. But the buff to his ultimate, actually, helping to bring him out. Reaper Scythe stun delay increased from 1 to 1.5 seconds.
Yeah. Yes. Do you want me? Oh, my thoughts? Yeah. I completely noticed that in a game. I don't remember which one I just watched recently, but I was like, I didn't even know that was a change. I just thought for some reason, I'm like, why does that seem so long now?
Why does the game lag every time after ults? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, that's insane. It really is noticeable. 1 second was pretty long in the first place, and now it's a second and a half. I mean, I don't know how I really feel about it. On one hand, you're like, well, that sucks because you can't hit them with the ulti a half second now later, but at the same time, that gives you that half more second to get that last little cram of damage in before the ultimate hits them. So it could really work either way depending on how the fight is kind of going out, but more or less I think I've seen it work in their favor more often than not, just because they've gotten that extra death pulse in to hit them or some other kind of damage right before it lands, and that really has helped out.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know if I think he's all that viable all of the sudden. I mean, there are certainly strategies where I think you can employ him. I mean, it's the same with Witch Doctor, too. When you look at what he can actually do, even in the competitive level with the level 1 and the healing aura, like if you have a push strategy, that move is amazing, and he's a great support hero. He's probably one of the best in those situations. But, those situations come by so seldom that we don't really get to see him that much. And again, it's neat that teams are messing with it, and I definitely like that increase in the delay, because now it's almost like a legitimate CC to a certain amount. Mm-hmm. I was playing a game the other day, and it's, oh crap, Bounty Hunter just showed himself. I'm going to ult him, and no, it's not going to be that big one shot, but it's going to hold him in place. People are going to be able to do some damage to him, and so it's going to make my ultimate, a decent nuke at least, and then hopefully we can, get a dust off on them or whatever. I also find it hilarious that in that game when I was playing Necrolyte, I was playing with some friends, and I was like, one of them was lying, so I ult, Finger of Death, boom, and then they're just dead because you have enough time to tell the other person to Finger of Death, and it's hilarious. It really is. The other one,
yes.
Unless you have anything else to say about Necrolyte.
No, he's a cool dude. Just don't play him with Wisp. Just don't play him with Wisp. Come on, you don't know the reference?
No.
Episode 45. I know it's been like 3 months, but episode 40... I was just talking about a game where Necrolyte and Wisp were picked together in a lane, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen, ever.
Wait, if you heal Wisp...
We've already went over this.
Did we? Alright, well...
That's okay. Our true hardcore fans will know. Even if the host doesn't. That's okay. Go ahead.
What episode are we on? 3, 7? I don't know. Spectre, the other one I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The haunt no longer ends when you use reality. The targeted illusion is still replaced by your haunt, though. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a really strong change. And first of all, it's great because you don't have to worry about wasting it more or less. Like you can use it, do the full fight damage in the team fight, as well as move to where you want and not to worry about it. And then the other great thing I think that really helps out is against heroes like that use blink daggers. You get to use your haunt for the most of that beginning of the team fight, and then you can still haunt in, or reality in, excuse me, and still not allow them to use their blink daggers while it's still going on. So I think that really is a nice needed buff for him.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the times I've seen Spectre being picked up since he got this buff, it's been the Radiance build, which, I don't know, I'm on the fence about because the game still, it's like, I don't know, by the time a Spectre gets a Radiance and then gets tanky and then gets something else and then is able to really participate and tear people apart, the game is so far gone by that point. It really doesn't matter. I mean, now, especially because you have so many more choices in heroes to pick, you see Spectre, alright, so we play a 30-minute game. It's not hard. It's not a big deal. We don't even necessarily have to go out of our way to play against the Spectre. He's not making us do anything different. I did get to mess a little bit. I did like the Diffusal Blade. That was pretty nice because you get all that mana burn and the slow helps you gank. But yeah, I think like doing something like that where you pick up the Vit booster and then go for like a Diffusal Blade might be a little bit of a stronger choice in my opinion, but of course Radiance is really nice, and of course if you can farm it up quickly, pretty amazing.
I've never been a huge fan of Radiance on most heroes. It's just like you said. I mean, by the time you farm it up, and normally heroes like that will get, unless they can somehow just completely rush it without having to worry about ganks or anything, they a lot of times will at least get some kind of like health regen or even towards a Vanguard before they even get the Radiance. At that point, like, yeah, it's like 25-30 minutes you'll have it probably, and it's not going to do its full effect. At that point, it's more or less just helping you farm jungle and creeps and stuff. And it's, yeah, I would much rather see him being on his way to something like a heart or a butterfly, or even having that diffusal, like you said. I really do like diffusal on him as well. Helps for ganking as well as draining the mana with the illusions. So yeah, overall, I definitely agree with you in that stand. Radiance on him, pretty. I don't know. I think the only hero I really like that item on is Naga Siren, and that's even. Oh, okay. Shiny Bear. I have to. You can't. I mean, it's his name. You can't really take that away from him. But no, I think I agree with you there.
I mean, it's another thing too, where it's maybe a little bit different when you go between like pro and then us, right? And playing the game with like you're like 15-minute Radiance. That's pretty slow. But then when you play it yourself, you're like, yay, I got it before the 30-minute mark. So, you know, in the competitive scene, it's like, even still, you wind up, to me, it's like you get it on Lone Druid. Okay, it's on the bear. So the bear dies, that sucks. You recreate the bear, whatevs. Spectre, I got Radiance, and I have Dispersion, which is nice, and it makes you fairly tanky, but then you're like, okay, well, I gotta at least get a Vit booster now. Mm-hmm. And then if I want to take the Vit booster in a Vanguard, I can do that. Or maybe I want to go for the heart, so it's going to take me all that time to farm. And it's really by the time that you feel confident enough to participate with that Radiance, it's kind of lost its team fight potential, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, but definitely with you.
I think those are the big ones. I mean, I think the really just sort of nice little minor things that happened, if we're just going to talk about the most recent patch. You know, Batrider can't attack while using Flaming Lasso. Alright, cool. I imagine you don't have anything to...
Not to add, that's pretty out there, yeah.
Bounty Hunter track no longer reduces armor.
That's pretty good. That's a good change.
As a previous lover of the ancient apparition. What? That was weird too. Chilling touch.
Well, me and AA go back to high school times. I mean, I just don't like to fair-minded of that. You know.
Yeah, I know it's hard on the
painful.
heart, you know. But chilling touch mana cost rescaled from 140 to 110 up to 140. And if we look at the so I'll here you go. Chilling touch attack increased from 2345 to 3456 in 676, and then in 675. So I scroll up to the A's. Chilling touch deals its bonus damage and uses the charge while attacking creeps. The AoE increased from 450 to 525. The damage increased from 40 up to 70 at level 4 to 50 up to 80 at level 4. And the chilling touch duration got reduced from 40 to 30.
Well, that's not big deal.
Incrementally buffed. Thoughts overall? Because he's not really been picked up regularly, but I've seen him a couple times. Instead of the stats cold feet, it's like the cold feet and then the chilling touch and maybe a point in vortex. What are your thoughts?
They're really trying to make it a move that someone wants to skill a point into, which up till this point has been not an option, more or less. Maybe 1 point here and there. It's interesting because it does. I mean, that bonus damage actually is not bad at all when you consider. It's like getting a relic plus. It's a lot of damage, but.
Yeah.
I'm a little that 6.5 change where it now does this damage and uses a charge against creeps. I don't know exactly how I feel about that. Before, you could just kind of throw it on a hero in a lane, and they don't have to really worry about it. They can still farm, and then if a hero comes along or something, they can gank them and it'll start using those charges. But now you kind of have to just use it right before the gank or right before the thing. Well, I mean, 30 seconds, okay, when you're on your way, but. I guess the other positive, it says when attacking creeps. Now, does that include Roshan? That's the thing I'm not 100% about. If that applies towards Roshan now, and you can do your bonus 80 damage to Roshan attacks, that's pretty decent to help out, more or less. I mean, not a huge change, but still could be decent. But all around, I like the changes. The mana rework definitely helps. 140 was just absurd. That's expensive for a level 1 spell for anyone. I think it might be worth starting to get points into earlier than level, 18. Than
21.
Yeah, exactly. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool, and especially when you look at other heroes that it goes along with. I mean, it slows your attack speed, but if you're tri-laning with a Nex who has open wounds too, so you get that slow, so your cold feet's probably going to hit, and then he's going to pop the rage to get the attack speed to kind of counter that out, so he's just hitting like a truck. I think that's definitely maybe an underutilized combo, or maybe one that, I should be exploring to see maybe why it doesn't get used, but I think it's definitely something interesting to bring up. But I think that's all the stuff I wanted to throw at you, all the curveballs. I can't.
My former lover had quite the chilling touch. I don't know. I was trying to work it in there, but it just
forcing it now.
It fell flat.
That's
don't worry, I have the jokes for later. Haha. Yeah.
Not looking forward to that at all.
You should.
But we, I guess, what the heroes is what we got left, right? I mean,
yeah, let's jump into these 3 heroes here. We'll start, I guess, with Centaur Windrunner. What am I saying? Centaur Windrunner. That would be an interesting name of a hero. No, the Centaur Warrunner. I always want to call him War Chief too. It's one of those things you have to get over from Dota 1.
Because that is like a whole other hero now too, if you think about it. Or I guess Chieftain.
Well, he's changed now, but I'm not talking about Torn Chief. I'm talking about Centaur War Chief.
Right. I know.
But anyways, do you want to quickly go over this hero?
Broken and done. That's what I got. No, he's better now. Obviously, when he got released, there were some strong opinions against him being added to captain's mode. Obviously, he wasn't. I don't know if we should run through all of his abilities or not. I mean, especially because these heroes have been out for a while, so everybody's sort of had the time to mess with them. But I still think he's probably going to be a pretty decent initiator. I mean, you have that global cast range on the ultimate, which is really nice because it's even a fantastic escape. Really, even if you're not trying to initiate with it, oh crap, somebody's in trouble, pop the ult. It's really not that big of a deal because the cooldown, if I remember correctly, isn't all that absurd so you can sort of blow it willy-nilly. And of course the cleave on the double edge is really nice. It did have the mini stun removed, which I think is awesome, or the ability to interrupt, I should say. So I do really like that change. Overall, though, I still think a strong hero still might have the chance of seeing him when he does finally get added to Captain's mode. But I feel like now he's probably at a state where you could add him to the game and it wouldn't be that destructive.
Yeah, like you said, I think the two big changes that ultimate, the cooldown used to be a flat, it was like 70 seconds or something, and now it scales from 120 down to 60, so right off the bat it's not as short. And also, like you say, it used to be a stun, and now it's 100% slow. So, you know, obviously a big deal there. That doesn't interrupt TPs. It doesn't do anything like that. So people can still escape. Like if you get Viper ulted, you can still just TP out. No problem. Have no trouble there. But I think I agree. I think he is also at a point now where he could be seen. We'll see how long heroes like him and Silencer take to get moved over once they're tested enough, I guess. But nothing like I believe when he came out with all his changes in Dota 2. Or his initial setting, I think his win percentage in the pub scene was something like 65 or 70%. Like, it was some absurdly high number. Teams just didn't lose when they got him. It was just too easy, especially in the pub scene, for people just to, I don't know, trample all over the other team. I don't know why I feel so, like, punny today. It's just, they're all coming at once. It's just, I'm ramping up. I'm warming up the crowd. So when I tell my jokes later, they'll already be in a laughing mood.
I was really hoping that was one of them, so that the number dropped a little bit. But no, they're still on reserve, huh?
No, trust me, there's still the nine jokes.
We're gonna be talking about Slark, and then they're just gonna roll out like you just had a spree of Slark jokes to get off your chest. But you know, it's okay. It's been a long time since you've gotten to make a silly person out of yourself in this format. So
indeed.
Like, yeah. Anyway, I definitely, I think he's in a good spot right now. And you know, you look at the 7/7 changelog for Dota 1 that actually added Timbersaw, the Goblin Shredder, to Dota 1 Captain's mode. So we might actually be getting to see him soon in the ranks of competitive play in Dota 2, hopefully in next patch or two. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think he's definitely going to be a hero that pops in from time to time.
Timber?
Centaur, sorry.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to Timber.
That's why I was confused. You just like jumped ship. I'm like, okay, sure. But,
I go where I please. Just.
Oh, hold on. I have to play a sound wave.
These proving grounds shall be littered with the dead.
Well, that's pretty badass still, either way. Sorry, everyone.
I'm pretty sure you can hear it through my headset when I play it.
Yeah, it's that
so you
loud.
Can assume it's excessive.
Oh well.
But anyhow.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, unless you have anything else to...
Nah, that's pretty much sums it up. Since he can't be used competitively, it's only so much we can really discuss anyways.
That's very true. And I would also like to say that this whole experience, in hindsight, now that we've had a time to have a little bit of retrospect, it's taught me a lot about my opinions on Dota, which are sometimes less than accurate. And I think you could go back and find more than a handful of times where we've had opinions on things, and they're not accurate at all. But, you know, the bottom line for us, just, you know, being guys who like the game and like talking about it,
yeah,
it's been a good run. You know, what can you do?
That was deep.
Thank you. Well, you know, this means so much to me, deep down in the cockles of my heart.
Wow.
You know?
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't need to drop that kind of terminology here. Anyways.
On to Slark.
Yes. Slark the Nightcrawler. So, I like how his only role in Dota Wiki is escape. He's not carry, he's not initiator or something.
GTFO.
He's just escape. And actually that suits him very well, honestly. A lot of players probably aren't super familiar with this guy. Of course, he's not in CM yet either. None of these three heroes are. But, you know, he's kind of one of these little dudes that basically, he's well, I guess he's good at escaping. I don't, wow, that sounded stupid, but I did go full circle there. A lot of his moves are about not being seen, gaining a ton of health back, moving really quickly, and then locking people down. I think Pounce is by far one of my favorite abilities I've ever used on a hero. It's just amazing. It's definitely, it takes a little work, I would say. It's got that Mirana kind of feel to it, but then sometimes you still overshoot it or whatnot. And the difference between him and Mirana, the big difference is where you land is very important compared to her. So you've really got to make sure you line it up right.
Yeah, he's really neat, and I love him to death. Like, he's actually a hero that I think I'd like to play more, just for the sake of messing around with him. He feels fun, because he's so fast and he's so nimble, and you can do so much with him. But when you actually try to look at him and how you could maybe look to build him competitively or put him in a competitive setting, it's a little hard. And I think he got a buff in 6.77. He got 6 more agility, which I think is a lot bigger deal than you want to make of it when you think about it, because he's a hero that with the Dark Pact will hurt himself. He's a hero that is really attack speed dependent because of the essence shift. And then, of course, giving him some bonus damage helps you when you're trying to make that decision, because, again, you're hurting yourself, so let's build tanky, but then I need attack speed so that I can get agility from essence shift. So there's this really kind of weird balancing act, I feel like, in how you try to build him. And I think the 6 agility really helps put him in a good spot. And over the last couple patches, too, if you just look over like the changes I've made to him, it's been like a lot of back and forth stuff. Some things getting buffed, some things getting nerfed. But he feels decent. I still don't know, again, if I would actually say he's competitive worthy, but I think he definitely has a lot of strong suits that other heroes don't have. For instance, Shadow Dance, you can bounce in and out of team fights. You can leave for 5 seconds and then come back with 50% more total health. You can find where wards are, because all of a sudden I lost movement speed, so they can see me. So there's a ward here. Like, he has a lot of really niche kind of abilities and pros and cons that, I don't know, teams might be able to find uses for.
So it's got hella short cooldowns. I mean, his ultimate's 25 seconds. His leap pounce goes down to 8 seconds. Dark Pact 6. I mean, it's really short cooldown. So he gets to go in and out of fights, like you said. He'll go back if he can escape the fight, which he shouldn't have too much trouble doing. His Shadow Dance passive will heal him back up to full. It's almost like having a heart of Tarrasque at that point. And then you just come right back in, full health, and then start using your spells again. It's just that easy. As long as, like you said, you can survive that initial burst of whatever they're trying to do to you. So, and I'd like that you mentioned the ward thing. I mean, that's definitely a thing that probably gets overlooked often, but for sure, if you're moving around the jungle, going lanes, and you're just like, oh shoot, where'd my passive go? Oh, they have a ward here. That's just, now we know, and we can counter ward that. So, something I think that in the competitive scene you would see utilized a lot more is like ward hunting or something like that, but the pub scene, more or less, he's just going around killing people. But I want to play him more too, to be honest. I don't know exactly what he brings to the table, like mid to late game, more or less. I guess just being a nuisance, but yeah, you compare that to other hard carries out there, and maybe he falls short there. But stealing the passive stats is also something that definitely is pretty powerful when he gets enough attack speed and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind talking about this guy a little bit if you want. Because, I was really trying to figure it out and trying to think, like, how would you build them? I mean, I think there's definitely, you have 2 different schools of thought. You go tanky, and then you can try and level up your Dark Pact to be able to get rid of, negative effects on you, but then to also just have a pretty decent damage nuke to be able to chase people down with it. Or you can really go for that essence shift, and you can focus on having good attack speed, being able to steal the stats. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love Dark Pact. That is definitely one of the things that allows them. I mean, we always talk about carries and semi-carries having those abilities to survive or to escape, and Dark Pact is one of the main reasons why he's so good at it. Just using those 10 pulses that remove any kind of buffs from him, that really is a huge deal, and allows him to, if he's about to get stunned or something by a Sven Hammer or whatnot, boom, just pop that Dark Pact. He's going to be free to get out of there, pounce if he needs to, and I really think that's definitely one of his strengths for sure. I would like to see him picked up as well. I think the tanky way is one of the better ways to do it. At least maybe a Vanguard in the tanky respect, and then after that you could go some kind of damage. But he needs a little bit of survivability to build up the stats from his Essence Shift and whatnot, or to steal, I guess, to make the other people weaker. But either way, I think he needs that initial tankiness to survive the onslaught.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a weird thing too, because I'm just thinking about it now, and you think about how Shadow Dance works. You get a huge movement speed bonus, and then you have the health regeneration as well. Really, once you level 6, you can vanish from the. I didn't want to make the joke, but you can just go into the jungle and you can farm. And then here's where you come up to the point of: do you want to get the attack speed? Do you want to get the agility so that you can kill stuff quickly, go between the camps at an absurd rate? Or do you want to try and participate in the fights more and you get a little tankier? Honestly, you think... I was just thinking about this now. What if you went for that Hand of Midas? You get that attack speed up, go into the jungle level 6, farm it up really quickly, and then you get yourself a Vit booster right away or something like that in order to make you a little bit tankier. I don't know. I definitely want to mess with it, though.
It would be interesting, to say the least. And I guess if you're doing that kind of build, maybe you go like Tranquil Boots as your early boots to help you really get some... I guess you don't need them with your Shadow Dance passive. I suppose that's not a necessity. I was just thinking about moving around the map really quickly. But, yeah, I guess that could be an option. The attack speed, of course, really nice with Essence Shift. Although, if you're jungling, you're not going to have that until later on anyways, because you'll probably be maxing out Dark Pact as your main move,
I didn't mean to actually be a jungler, but I mean if you were in the lane, let's say like a tri-lane or something, and then once you're level 6, you can do the anti-mage I have Battle Fury game, and you just leave, and then you look for opportunities to maybe help the team, but you can farm. I feel like at a fairly absurd rate.
Oh yeah.
The Orb of Venom I think is neat too. I kind of like that idea, picking that up.
That's definitely interesting. Yeah, it's good to stay on it here. I mean, after Pounce is done, yeah, you really, unless you're using Shadow Dance to outmove them, you're not really keeping them where they need to be to kill them. Although, I guess a lot of carries kind of suffer from that similar idea. But I guess, would you really get that just for that 12% slow, or are you actually thinking about building that into an Eye of Scotty down the road?
I was thinking more just for the slow, because, I mean, Sage is a really nice, efficient item to get health in general, and then you get a slow. Why not? So that might actually be an option if you wanted to do something like that. But I mean, just in the early game, just to give you a little bit more gank potential, it might be something worth getting. I mean, it's 275 gold. It's not like it's really going to slow you down that much. And if you buy a Midas, right, then your first Midas usage, you essentially can afford the majority of the Orb of Venom. So I don't know. I kind of like it though, personally.
That's interesting. It's interesting enough. I'd be okay for someone giving it a try. I would not yell at them.
He's going to go in captain's mode, and the very first game, Hand of Midas Slark in the tri-lane.
Orb of Venom.
Yep.
That's his first 2 items. That's
obviously, I don't think you could run him as your only carry, but...
Well, that's why Sniper's in mid lane.
There you go. Sniper mid, Alchemist top.
just get someone who carries all in 3 lanes in the jungle. I mean, why not at this point? Yeah, so obviously it's going to take a lot more testing, and obviously his introduction to the captain's mode before we really get a feel for how he does, competitively or in a real situation, I say. But oh crap, his sound wave.
Met you once, cut you twice.
I like the guy who did the voice acting for him. He did a great job.
And I have to say that I was giddy to see what Slark was going to look like, because Murloc's awesome, right? Undeniable. The art for Slark I think is actually really awesome as well, and I really like how that worked out.
Yeah, he does look really nice. Unlike other heroes that have been introduced. Come on, you don't remember the one you were hating on for a while?
Meepo?
Meepo
looks awful.
You did not like the little... You thought he looked corny, or you looked weird with the...
I don't like.
I don't like.
That's something else. Last minute to bring in. I guess I'll save it. Never mind. but I got another thing we can talk about. Sorry.
Oh, we got all the things to talk about.
Yay.
This is what happens when you don't talk for 2.5 months. You get to just bring up things,
Whatever.
willy-nilly.
It happens.
Alright, well then if you're not going to talk about it now, I guess we move on to our third and final here.
We do. We get the Timbersaw. He has been renamed from the Goblin Shredder. Do you have thoughts on Rizrak?
I've only played him once in a co-op game. I have very brief thoughts. But I have thoughts. Actually, I also watched Sing Sing stream with him in a solo top lane against... oh god, who was he against? I believe it was Phantom Lancer or something. It was really weird. But he absolutely wrecked it. Like, it was just unbelievable how easy it was for him to dominate that lane. Oh no, it was Beastmaster. Sorry, it was against Beastmaster, and it was just
that's even worse.
Yeah, it was brutal. There was just no chance for the other hero. Timbersaw gets up that shield as one of his first items, so he doesn't take any damage to minions. But when he gets hit by the minions with that reactive armor, his health regens through the roof, and he just tanks it up. Can attack the enemy hero. And the greatest thing about him that I didn't realize how you should play him, I always thought Whirling Death was like a priority for some reason. I was like, oh, AoE damage, it can be pure. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Well, no. Timber Chain, apparently, MVP move of the century with reactive armor. He was just maxing out Timber Chain and then getting reactive armor as well, and only getting like 1 point Whirling Death early on, and that's about it. And just spamming it. It's only 60 mana at the first rank, but it does 100 damage, and it's just apparently pretty easy for him to use, more or less, especially in like a top lane like that. So I don't know. I really was interested to play him after watching Sing Sing play him like that very aggressive Timber Chain kind of style.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too about Timbersaw is he's one of those heroes where if you get a good start, he gets exponentially more powerful just because of how tanky you get off reactive armor. If you can survive the first burst, then your passive really starts to kick in then. And all of his stuff is on such a low cooldown, 8 seconds, the longest. You really can just spam, do the damage. Relay your ultimate, even if you get a bad toss, you have to wait for a little bit of the cooldown there, but I think it really is a fantastic solo, and it's going to be neat to see if he gets used. And I love seeing the Bloodstone on him because I think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you get like a cloak up, casual cloak, or even if you do build to a pipe or you get a Vanguard or something, you get that initial tank ability, you can just go for the mana regen, and then who's going to stop you? It's really difficult to deal with.
I find it interesting that Shiva's Guard is his core compared to Bloodstone. Like, I feel like those should be swapped in and out, because I personally would prefer to see, I think we can agree, you start with that style shield and you get Arcane Boots as like one of your top priorities, more or less, unless someone in your lane can give you that kind of mana sustainability. He does if you play aggressively, because you spam spells on a low cooldown. I mean, 4-second Timber Chain. You could just be using that over and over to do a ton of damage. So, you need some kind of mana support. If you don't get Arcane Boost, then you need someone with a Basilisk, a Ring of Basilisk, or something else to help you out. But I think Arcane Boots are definitely a nice way to go. And then leave that into a Bloodstone, of course, because you can just steal the energy booster from it, break it down, and now you have a Bloodstone, and then get your whatever boot the hell you want after that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like him a lot, and I'm really curious to see, because like I mentioned earlier, he's now in Dota 1. We don't really get to see what kind of an impact he's going to have in Dota 2 yet, but hopefully that's something in the near future that people will be able to mess with, and especially too because like you mentioned, Sing Sing played him in the off lane, and because right now it's sort of a sort of glossed over thing, putting heroes in the off lane. Obviously, what's he going to do against a tri lane, but if he is able to match up against another solo, I mean, that's a great potential for him there.
Yeah, exactly. One-on-one, I think, definitely suits his needs best, and not middle, obviously. You need trees. That's kind of his whole dealio there. I remember when we first were going over the hero, and like when he came out in Dota 1, we were like, can we jungle with him? It was like, well...
You can. I've tried it.
He wouldn't die. Reactive armor would make sure of that, but yeah, it would be pretty slow, I would feel like. It would just not work the way you'd want it to.
It's less than ideal. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely am looking forward to seeing him.
And that chakram, that does a ton of damage. Just don't even keep it out really that long. Just throw it in and throw it out, and the range on it, 1200. I mean, that's pretty substantial. You know, he was just kind of spamming it a lot, very often, and once you get that bloodstone, especially, that's when you take off. You know, that's when you can just do whatever you please, because his longest cooldown is 8 seconds on any of his spells. So, I mean, that just goes to show that you're not afraid to spam out all of your moves.
Yeah, and I mean, the slow is really nice, and because the blade has actually pretty decent width, I mean, into the choke and the Roche pit, I mean, onto ramps. Like, there are so many great places to put it where it can just really completely mess with the enemy team, and you don't want to walk into it, obviously, to try and, you know, help somebody out or try and chase somebody down, because it's going to be slowing you and then doing damage, slowing you more. It's really a great tool to help zone out the enemy team, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I believe it scales with how low they are in health. That's how much slow that happens. Yeah, so very, very nice there. I don't know. It's a possibility that he'll be competitively picked once we see him get into CM. It definitely is, and like we were kind of saying, off lane would probably suit him best. And obviously, he wouldn't do well against a tri lane. I mean, he'd have to be kind of up in their face, and he'd just get annihilated. He has a good escape. I think Timberchain's a pretty decent escape, but only to a certain point. You know, it's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, like, his skill set's great, but I do think you really do need, like, the first item or two. Like, you do need to get yourself a little bit of tankiness. I mean, certainly Chakram is a ton of utility in and of itself, and then you have a lot of mobility with Timberchain, but I always feel like you do need just a little bit of tankiness just to put yourself in a good position, and then after that, you know, like, if you were just soaking up the experience from a tri lane, whatever little bit you got, I don't know if it would really be all that useful. I think in that situation, if you picked him like that, and you're like, oh, I'm going to run into a tri lane, jump in the jungle, because I'm going to get more out of the jungle than I am going up against that lane.
Absolutely, they need to. I think anyone in the tri lane in the jungle needs to realize that potential if their hero has that ability to really make use of it. In Sing Sing's build after he went Bloodstone, of course, normally he goes kind of trolley builds, which is why I like watching, because he just kind of dicks around and still does well somehow. But he went Blink Dagger right after the Bloodstone. So you talk about mobility on a hero and being just a pain in the ass. That's exactly what he was with that Blink Dagger. You know, he'd blink in, you know, throw out that Chakram, and then, you know, Timberchain or Whirly just be a complete dick, more or less. I can't put it any other way. He was just a huge pain, and people then, like, he would escape, he'd Timberchain away, the whole team would be chasing him just to kill him because they're just so mad at him at this point, and there's his team waiting up the hill and they just annihilate him. It's just like so hilarious. It's like, come and get me, and then,
yeah, I mean, go. I feel like that Blink Dagger is fairly legit. I mean, I think that's actually a pretty strong way to go, because like you said, I mean, you jump in on some of your Whirling Death, and then even if you just throw off Chakram after that, they're going to be slowed, and if you have teammates that are, you know, with you, there's a great opportunity to try and pick a couple people off. So actually, I mean, I kind of like it, to be honest.
Apparently, I'm getting a comment from the chat about my Dota 2 scarf. Well, I had to wear some kind of Christmas. This was the closest I could get to Christmas wear. BDLM, of course, not celebrating the season because he's just a jerk. But you know, yeah, he was Scrooging it up. But you know, this is as close as I can get. So. Cheers to that. But yeah, so any other comments about this hero?
I don't think so. That's all I got. I have to say, all these heroes, I'm actually legitimately excited to see if and what impact they have.
Yeah,
in the competitive scene.
Once they're all,
I think they're all very neat. They have neat abilities. They're very standout heroes. Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully, Medusa the next one.
That's actually what I wanted to bring up with you.
If Medusa's next, we're having an episode next week. It's happening, because I'm excited.
No, I am too, honestly. I really do want to give her a run for her money and give her a try. I think she'd not only be fun, but actually pretty darn good the way she is. Compared to how... The thing is, because we have our background Dota 1 too, and you know, these heroes have been just changed, a lot of them substantially, from when we stopped playing. So this is one of those heroes, her ultimate's like completely different, and she's just, I feel like she'd be just a different hero, a different feel to her now.
And, I mean, obviously, you know, we don't really follow the Dota 1 competitive scene all that much. I've watched a couple games here and there, but she's been steadily getting buffed over time too. I mean, I was just kind of generally looking through all these patch notes, like the last 3, because we've kind of just been trying to catch up on all that. The amount of damage you absorb per mana with her mana shield increased. The cooldown on her ultimate decreased. She's been getting a little bit of help here and there, nothing drastic, but she's definitely moving into a much more advantageous position, getting a little bit stronger. So it is going to be fun to get to take her out for a spin.
Damn, I was trying to think of a Medusa term or a Gorgon term. They're just sorry puns. I'm fresh out. I used them all early on.
I'm petrified to play against Medusa. Never again.
Never again. So moving on. You said there was something you wanted to bring up after all that.
For all you artists out there, the Polycount Contest.
Yes.
Very cool. In theory, and just a beautiful thing in general to have, and I think it worked out really nice. Now there are all these shiny new sets for people to blow way too much money on. Me personally, I wasn't a huge fan of the Snowdrop Crystal Maiden. I understand why it didn't get it. Like the Bell set didn't win. Any Crystal Maiden fans out there who were expecting that one to win? I'm saving my money for that one personally. Did you particularly like any of them?
I like the gear of the Tally-Ho Hunter for Sniper.
Yes.
I think that one is pretty fantastic, honestly. Obviously, these people spent a good amount of time and really did a good job. The Shadow Shaman one is kind of decent. I don't know if I really love it or in love with it. The Doombringer one, take it or leave it for me. They're good. But, maybe there are other ones that I maybe would have enjoyed a little more. But
I did like the Beastmaster. That one was awesome. I like that little hood.
You don't like the Crystal Maiden one?
Nope, I think it's stupid.
Oh, poor girl.
Let me take that back. I think it looks awesome in the hero portrait. Actually, in the game, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I agree with that statement, I think I do, indeed. I've seen the Naga, the Exile, being used in games, and I kind of look at it. Kind of just gives me that Star Wars feel. That's all that is for me. It's like, oh god, what is that princess's name? The one with
Leia?
No, thank you. No, I know it's not Leia. The one that looks like that has like the little tentacles on her head. Tentacle head. Wow, this is. If Jeff Gunzelman was here right now, he would be very angry with us, our Star Wars fan friend. But oh well, there's a princess. She has tentacle head. Next question.
Moving on.
How do you move on from that?
I don't know. I don't.
Amidala. Thank you, gay cowboy. Thank you. How do you not know these things? Ah, the disappointment.
I mean, I know she had the crazy hair, but tentacles?
Well, it was tentacle-ish. Tentacle enough. Just move on. Just move on.
That's actually all I got. Moving on to what exactly?
Jay's got jokes. The joke corner.
So you're just gonna bust out a stand-up comedy section.
That's kind of how this next segment's gonna go. I came up with not only Dota jokes, but they are Dota Christmas jokes. So everyone just sit back, grab your eggnog or whatever. It's probably expired by now because it's past Christmas, but whatever Christmassy beverage you have, and be prepared to be serenaded by my awesome jokes. Ready? Let's start, shall we? Number 1. What did Pudge predict for weather on Christmas?
What?
Fresh sleet. Tip of the iceberg. Don't you worry. These are all amazing jokes that you're gonna love. Alright. On to number 2. Why does nobody want to travel with Crystal Maiden during the winter?
Why?
Everyone around her seems to get frostbite. Oh, I should have had like a sound wave for the drum roll.
Yes.
That way at least I felt better after every punchline was delivered. Alright, here we go. Number 3.
Please continue.
Why did Sven get kicked out of the church on Christmas Eve?
Something war cry.
He took the Lord's name in pain.
God's strength.
Just go with it. That one was a little bit of a stretch, but I had to just try it. Alright. Number 4. Don't worry, there's still 5 more of these sons of guns.
Gems. Oh.
No, this next one I think you'll like. Alright.
Okay.
What do Sven and Rudolph's red nose have in common?
They both turn red.
They both turn red and are said to be broken.
I like it.
It used to work more when they were in the beta, but yeah.
I like it.
Alright. Why did an ancient apparition ask Lita out to the winter ball?
He wanted to chilling touch that hot.
Close.
Completely.
He got cold feet. Come on, that was obvious.
He said, "Why did he ask her?"
Why
but then
didn't?
cold
Why
feet?
didn't? I mumbled.
Why didn't he ask her?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He got cold feet. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Gay Cowboy, saying, my jokes are bad, I should feel bad. Well, screw you! I'm still going to persevere, because someone out there is going to laugh at some of these jokes.
One person.
Oh, I'll save that one
Okay.
for last. That's probably my best one, so I'll save that one. Don't worry, I'll save that one for last. Alright. When Timbersaw was found cutting down all the Christmas trees in the park, he wasn't apprehended. Why? That was a really oddly worded question, but just go with it. I'll tell you why. They say his motives were pure. Pure damage from hitting trees. Okay, if I have to explain the joke, I guess it's not as good. But the Dota Christmas jokes, I have to go, you have to try. That was a pretty good one. Deal with it. Alright.
This is what J4I has been doing for the last 2.5 months. I just like to
I just made 9 jokes.
everyone.
Every week, a new joke. Alright, here we go. Why was Centaur Warrunner put in charge of customer service at the store?
Because he knew how to handle the stampede.
Ooh, that was good, but no. Let's go with the second one. People didn't want to deal with his return policy.
Oh, alright.
Ah,
I like,
yeah,
alright.
yeah.
Okay.
Alright, here we go. Number 8. Why is Spectre the only hero who believes in Santa Claus?
Why?
He couldn't face reality. Spoiler, Santa doesn't exist. Alright, number 9.
That was the best joke.
Alright, number 9. Here we go. What's the difference between Alchemist and getting coal in your stocking for Christmas?
What?
At least the coal is worth something.
Oh.
And there you have it, folks. Jay's Dota On Demand Christmas jokes. Don't worry, if you want this to be a regular segment on our shows, just let me know and I will keep it going.
The best part is you have to wait 360 days until he tries making another 9.
Oh, don't worry, I got them for every season. you just wait. Well, that was worth it.
Some really good Skeleton King Ultimate Easter jokes. Alright, comes back from the dead. You know what? It's on par with whatever you planned, sir.
Don't worry, I was happy. I enjoyed those very much. As long as I enjoyed them, that's all that matters.
We're very proud of you. You're very special.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
hmm
Well, I guess we've been doing this for about an hour. So any last words for the viewers or anyone before we get this rolling out?
Thank you for those of you who tuned in live, and thank you for any of you guys who have really ever given us a listen. We really do appreciate it, and you can rest assured that the vast majority of the episodes that ever happened were only because you guys encouraged us to keep going, and we thank you very much for that. So, until Medusa gets released, I guess have a lovely New Year's and Christmas and Kwanzaa, etc. And we will see you guys next time.